Welcome everyone to our March 2nd spring preview to spring admissions morning at Roycemore School. We're so happy to have you here with us today. I am Amanda Avery. I am the Director of Admissions and Financial Aid at Roycemore. We really appreciate you taking the time to learn more about our program today. We want to give you the chance to hear from various voices from our school community. So joining me today are members of our administrative team, including our head of school, Adrian Finley Odell, who you'll be hearing from in just a few minutes. Wonderful members of our student and parent community, as well as teachers. Some of my administrative team is working behind the scenes to help support our event today, so I thank them. And again, we want to give you the opportunity to ask questions a little bit later, and we're all here as a resource to you. So you will have a chance to take part in a breakout room session later in the event and talk with your division head of the lower, middle, or high school, as well as some of our volunteers today. So I'm going to turn things over to Adrian Finley Odell to get us started.
Well, thank you, Amanda, and thank you everyone for taking time out of your morning today to learn more about Roycemore School. We're delighted to share about our school with you and invite you as we progress this morning to actively engage with us and ask questions. But I'm going to get us started by giving you a little bit of an inside view into what Roycemore is all about. You may know that Roycemore has been around for a number of years. We are a 105-year-old school. So we're a school that's been through more than one pandemic. Although interestingly enough, I went back through, we have our yearbooks that go all the way back to the very first one was 1919, even though we were founded in 1915. I couldn't find any pictures from the pandemic back then. So I don't know exactly what life was like then, but we figured out how to do it here at Roycemore, and I'm really grateful for the partnership that we have had with families and with our board and with our faculty that have helped us through this. Not just history of pandemics, but Roycemore's gone through lots of history over the years with the world changing around us, where there were wars or depressions. But here on our campus, it's a place that is a bit of an escape from those things in the outside, where kids can focus on the important things of learning and growing and getting to know themselves. And that's one of our big goals, as well as to reach the educational goals for each student on an individual way in a joyful way. And, yes, there can be joy in a pandemic. So I'm really delighted to be part of a community that embraces that each and every day for kids and focuses on balance as well as the academics itself. This gives you a little insight into what a day in the life might be like, whether the kids are arriving to school and getting a elbow bump, or these days it's getting their temperature checked and doing the wellness screener. But from our little kids with their creative PE classes that have been able to be done with social distancing, to the high school and middle school kids still actively doing their science labs. But they have been doing all of this in interesting ways, with wellness screeners, the COVID testing, the social distancing, the mask wearing. It's been a very different year for everyone, but somehow through the power of our community, we have been able to have school on campus for most of the year, which is such a critical aspect, we believe, to our program. We leaned into our core values even more this year with community. You see here right in the middle of those other core values, because it sort of infuses everything we do and everything we are at Roycemore with the other core values of scholarship. Of course, as a school, scholarship is very important. Respect and integrity, valuing each individual and respecting them from whatever background they come from. This is a place where kids feel like they can belong and be themselves. and teaching empathy and compassion for individual circumstances that others might be going through. That's an important emotional intelligence component to our program. And we do build in a lot of that character development and EQ skills in our program. And as we look to the beginning of a new century of teaching and learning at Roycemore, we know that there's nothing more important than being able to focus on the individual potential of each child. And it's what has united generations of students across the span of time, that power of potentiality of each child and the commitment to supporting each child as an individual. And at Roycemore, we have a commitment to cultivating intellectual potential, to inspiring the social, emotional, and physical well-being, and to fostering creativity, expression, and innovation. Our program is designed to offer robust learning opportunities that allow students to engage more. And when they are engaged more, they are able to achieve much more than they ever thought was possible. And our focus on helping each child individually supports them to become the very best versions of themselves. This is Roycemore. One of the organizations that we are influenced by is the World Economic Forum. And they came out with this Future of Jobs report that predicts that by 2025, the amount of work completed by humans and machines will be equal. And they've identified what are the important skills that are needed to be kind of in the driver's seat, so to speak, of one's future and not be at the effect of the changing technology of the world. So you can see here, analytical thinking and innovation is the top skill. Active learning and learning strategies, complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis. And in the top 5, creativity, originality, and initiative. Number 6, leadership and social influence. These skills transcend whatever discipline one might pursue or career one might pursue after one's formal education. And we try to bake these in to what we do school-wide because it's so much more important to focus on skills over content, because our one-year-olds, today's one-year-olds, they're going to graduate in 2037. Think about all of the tech changes that we're already experiencing now with artificial intelligence, robots, service robots, looking at cybernetic integration with humans. These dramatic changes in technology in our world are going to impact young people in ways we haven't even imagined yet. And we need to make sure that our students have what I call power skills. Some people call them soft skills, but I've decided to start calling them power skills because they are truly powerful and really enable young people to envision the future and be the creators, the co-creators of their own future with the support of expert guides. And that's what our teachers are here to do. We have a lot of opportunities for partnerships here at Roycemore, and we lean into those. You can see here Northwestern is one of the partners that we have a long-standing relationship with. And in fact, when our school was founded in 1915, it was founded by Northwestern professors who wanted a great option for their daughters at the time. It actually started as an all-girls school, and then in the 60s became co-ed. And the school has evolved over time with the changing times. We introduced design thinking into our program a few years ago. And so our kids learn this creative problem-solving process, which again, transcends whatever discipline one pursues. They learn that iterative process to problem solve. And our faculty have created professional learning communities. These learning communities are ways that they can do deeper dives personally and professionally to stay active and current with the changing world of education and how they can best support young people. And we also believe strongly in um, the experience outside of school. So, during the pandemic, obviously, we haven't been having the same sort of field experiences that have existed pre-pandemic times, but we look to bring those back where students have lots of opportunities to take advantage of Evanston and Chicago as part of their learning experience. And then you see the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they are affiliated with Northwestern University, and it is a program for older individuals who are like at the end of their career who still are very much wanting to learn and grow. And they have study groups, but we have partnered with them where our high school students provide tech tutoring to their seniors. And so you have this intergenerational learning that goes on. We look for lots of opportunities like that for our students to benefit from. We also have a partnership with Adobe Corporation, and a year ago, November, we hosted the world's first, in partnership with Adobe, high school creative jam, which is a problem-solving activity where the students learn a new tech tool from Adobe. In this case, they learned Adobe XD, which is to make apps. And they had a design challenge that we partnered with the city of Evanston as part of its sustainability plan for 2050. And the students came up with, in teams, ways to address the sustainability goals of Evanston and to influence people to make changes. So that was an exciting way that we partnered with Adobe and the city. We partner with the Family Institute. We recently had a partnership with them and a couple of other independent schools in the area where our families watched this film, Childhood 2.0, which talked about the challenges of technology being so omnipresent in the lives of our young people and how to balance the social emotional piece of that. And experts from the Family Institute were the keynote speakers for that. Leadership is a really important focus for us as well at Roycemore. You saw that back in the World Economic Forum skill list. And it begins down in the lower school, starting in kindergarten. Stephen Covey's 7 Habits for Highly Effective People has been brought down to a young child age through what's called the Leader in Me. And starting at kindergarten, students start to learn those 7 habits, such as think win-win, put first things first, begin with the end in mind. These are really powerful frameworks to think about one's life that are relevant whether one is 77 or 7. And in the middle school and upper school, it has the framework of 7 habits of highly effective teens. And students learn the language and incorporate it in their hopefully daily lives. We also have brought mindfulness into our program this year because we recognize during the pandemic, it has been a pretty intense time for everyone and has an inordinate impact on young people. And we believe that prior to learning, our students need to feel safe and supported. So we place a strong emphasis on social emotional learning, and we've expanded that mindfulness school-wide this year. So students have opportunities for learning the mindful practices, for breathing. There might be guided meditations, whether it's done in the individual classrooms in the younger years or in the advisories in middle and upper school. But research has found that the positive effects of mindfulness are multi-scaled. And you can see here some of those positive effects. As I mentioned, I'm really grateful we've been able to be on campus most of the year this year, although it's looked a little different. We're very fortunate to have a lot of space in our building, and we have the 6 foot of social distancing in the classroom, which you can see down here in the bottom right in one of our lower school classrooms. The students wearing the masks, doing different kinds of activities. So here is an early childhood group. I think it's first grade in music class, and they're learning music. Instead of singing, they're doing kind of music and movement, and they've been introduced to new activities. It has been a very successful year for us. We've had no COVID outbreaks at school, and in only one instance did we have to send kids remote because of a COVID positivity in one of the divisions. So we're really pleased for that, and it tells us that our strategies have been working. And we have a really terrific health and safety task force that has partnered with me to develop a first-in-class plan that we implemented before any other Chicagoland school. We made it public mid-June last year, and we've been following those guidelines all year long. The chief medical officer at North Shore University Health Systems serves on our task force, as well as a pulmonologist who has been on the front lines of COVID. So their expertise has been essential. We have had some families that have been remote learning. And, as I was saying before, when we have had to go remote, our teachers were well prepared to do that. So here's just a few slides showing some of the active learning in the remote learning experience for our kids. And we've had really great feedback from our families and our students about that. Even though they much prefer to have their kids on campus, they've been really thrilled with what we've been able to offer. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Amanda. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll be available later if you have any more questions.
Thank you so much, Adrienne, for sharing that important information. It's always great for, I think, our families to hear from you about what's happening at the school. As I mentioned earlier in the program, it's really important to us that you hear from various members of our community. So of course, we have many of our students here with us today who are supporting me in this event, and they will be answering some questions and also sharing a little bit from their perspectives. We believe that whether you're looking for preschool admission, high school admission, or anywhere in between, it's important for you to hear from some of our middle school and upper school students, because they will give you a good sense of what you may have to look forward to should your child attend Roycemore at any age. So I want to turn things over first to one of our wonderful seniors, China. China is a Daniel Murphy Scholar. She has worked incredibly hard to get where she is today. We are, as a school, are committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion and social justice. And I'm going to allow China to talk a little bit more about what that looks like in our program.
Hi, everyone. My name is China. I am a senior. This is my 3rd year here. I'm super excited to be here with you all today. Just to touch on a little bit about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I am the founder and student leader of Diversity Club here in the upper school. We've expanded to middle school as well, and we've given them a space to practice diversity. So in Diversity Club, we come up with amazing projects where we share about various topics to our school-wide community. Our former theme of the month, which was for last month, was microaggressions. So we had created an entire presentation about it, and we've been teaching middle school about it through their homeroom, and we've been talking to upper school about it. We have created amazing panel discussions. The topic changes each week, but with Black History Month, we talked about race again and allyship, and it was beautiful to hear from some incredible people. And we've talked about religion, and we've talked about Hispanic Heritage Month, and we plan to do 2 more before the year ends. And we are super excited to just have those spaces where we all feel safe and we all can ask questions and just learn together, and acknowledge our differences and celebrate those things, as it's not a negative thing. We just want to learn from each other and create safe spaces for everyone, where we're all equitable. And yeah, that's what we've done.
Thank you so much, China, for your important efforts. We really appreciate you. You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next is Hanu Snyder. Hanu is another one of our amazing seniors. Hanu is actually going to share a little bit more about the sorry, I just had a tech issue for a second, about our college process. So we, as Adrian mentioned earlier, are a school that is 105 years old, and we've been supporting students and preparing them for college and beyond since that time, since our founding in 1915. So Hanu is here to talk a little bit about the process to apply to college, how he has been prepared, as well as some of the supports as kind of an overall program we provide to students.
Yeah, so I'm Hanu. I've been here since 6th grade. So I, transitioned from middle school to high school at Roycemore. And through that process, I think that there's a lot of things that Roycemore does to support students in their college admissions journey, which can be very, very stressful for a lot of students. And some of those things are the opportunities, as Ms. Finley-Odell mentioned earlier, that are afforded to students, such as the dual enrollment with Northwestern, and JST, which is a program for high schoolers to work on independent projects in January. And I can talk a little bit more about that in the breakout room. But those opportunities not only strengthen college applications, but they also, and I would say more crucially, provide students with experience that they are going to need when they get to college and also later in life. And even with the coronavirus, there's a lot of other opportunities that we have, such as clubs, as China mentioned, and after school sports. So, there's a lot of things at Roycemore that you can, that leverage your ability to apply to colleges and also give you experience. But I would say the one really important thing that Roycemore has that I would say a lot of other schools don't, is really close relationships with teachers and with our college admissions officer, counselor, Mr. Roberts. So, for me personally, like I've taken classes from teachers for, 2 or 3 years. So you get to develop these really close connections. So when they're writing your letters, they really know you as a student, and they know your strengths, and they can, help you along that process. And then also, because Mr. Roberts is really good, and we don't have super huge class sizes, he can really get to know each student, give them personalized college lists of schools. And also, he teaches English classes, so a lot of high school students get to know him in the classroom as well. And yeah, so those things are really, really helpful. And I think, they help each student get accepted to college, as we have 100% acceptance, and also get them to where they want to be. And I think even with coronavirus this year, a lot of students, I've seen, many students get exactly, to their top schools and to where, they're going to succeed in college. So.
Thank you so much, Hanu. Appreciate your help today and your insights. Student life and extracurricular activities are extremely important to our program. Again, whether your child is in preschool or lower, middle, or high school, there are lots of opportunities for students to get involved. A lot of the programs that have been started and are maintained are programs that students actually had a voice in starting, have had an interest in getting going. And because we're a small program, a lot of these extracurricular activities are things that students have led. Two of our students are here with us today. They both happen to be international students who are incredible advocates for our program, Robin and Owen. Robin is a junior at Roycemore and Owen is a sophomore. So I'd like to give them each an opportunity to talk a little bit about their leadership roles in student life at Roycemore and the types of things they're involved in. Robin, I'll ask you to go first.
Hi everyone, my name is Robin, and I'm a junior at Roycemore, and I've been here since 10th grade. So Roycemore, you really get a lot of opportunities to be involved in a lot of extracurricular activities. Even though it's a small school by design, we have 15 clubs in total in our school. And that's because it's really easy for you to start something if you want. So I am very interested in debating. So all I had to do to start my debate club was to walk into our Mr. Rivera's room, who is our head of our high school. And I just literally says, I want to start a debate club. And that's it. It's really easy, like if you want to start a club. And also, there's a lot of, like we also have a student government that is very different from other school student government. So you don't have to be like elected or anything. You can just walk in, and if you want to get involved in this student government, you can just walk in and then just participate. So there's a lot of opportunities for you, no matter what you want to do. Like we have music club, we have debate club, we have a yearbook, and we also have diversity club, like China said, and we also have GSA. Like we have so many clubs, and it's just like insane. Yeah, and I think Owen would want to share to you about his music club, which I am also a part of.
Thank you, Robin. Owen, you can go ahead.
Okay, so I am Owen and I am a sophomore at Roycemore School. I am currently in China. You can see this night now. Okay. I want to talk about my involvement of extracurricular activities in my first year at Roycemore when everything is normal. I participated in different sports teams like basketball teams and cross-country teams. I also took part in the play. I have done a lot of things that I never expect I will be in. Those important experiences not only provide me better experience, but also help me like in my future. I know how to solve my schedule problems and how to communicate with my teachers and how to like make friends with people in team. I really learned a lot in the extracurricular activities. In this year, I create my own music club at Roycemore. The process is very simple. I just send a few emails to Miss Finley Odell and Rivera. It's just everything is so simple, so it provides me a lot of convenience to create new stuff. The music club is that we host monthly virtual concerts for our Roycemore community. And first, some musicians in our community will submit their performance videos to us. And then our club members, including me and Robin, will like fill them and edit them. Finally, we combine them to a complete long, like really like a concert. And then we will send it out to our Roycemore community and some subscribers outside of school. Basically, everyone can be our passionate. It's like if they have talent and they are willing to perform and share their passions of music to everyone, they can just ask us and send their performance video to us. It is very simple. And our mission is to provide stage to the world for our talented Roycemore students and teachers. And we also raise donates to help people in need. yeah, that's all about the music club. And currently we are going to maybe host a synchronous concert in April. Like, hope it will go well. It's like, and it is our first asynchronous concert. And we think if we make it asynchronous, like people are more willing to participate and they can enjoy music better. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Owen, for sharing. And one of the really amazing things about the music club that Owen started is that younger students through high school students can be involved. So he mentioned some virtual concerts that have happened and another one that will happen in April. And that's, again, been opportunities for younger and older students to interact. We are a school that is truly a community from preschool through high school. And there are a lot of opportunities for students to make cross-grade friendships, to be mentors to younger or older students and to work together. So this is just a great example of that. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you also, Robin, for sharing. I want to talk about our signature programs at Roycemore. Most schools have signature programs of some kind, but what's really special is these are project-based opportunities for students by division of the school. So every year of your time at Roycemore is an opportunity to take part in one of our EAGLE programs, which stands for Empowering All Griffins to Learn Experientially. So in the lower school, what that looks like is our theme week. During theme week, students deviate from their traditional schedule and they do a deep dive into a specific subject area. So you can see, as we've noted here, some of the past projects, farm to table architecture, it's hip to be square geometry projects have been the focus. And it's really a time for students to work together, to solve problems, and to, again, deeply dig into these subject areas. In upper school, which is now in its 49th year, is our January short term, or JST. So between the first and second semesters each school year, students actually have an opportunity to take a break from their regular classes in the high school. And for 3 weeks, they take part in a JST project that may be an individual project that they've designed, or a project led by faculty members. So students have traveled, they've done yoga, students have focused on different programs to help the community. So there's just across the board all sorts of options. Many of our students have mentioned, many of our alums have mentioned that their JST project is what led them into the career that they are in today. So it's a wonderful program. And right in the middle is our middle school personal passion project, our P3 project. This is an exercise in design thinking where middle school students have a problem to solve, something related to a real world issue, something that interests them, and they have the opportunity to, throughout the school year, and then culminating in an expo in March each year, take a deep dive into a subject area that interests them as well. And they're solving problems for their community and for the greater community. And here to talk a little bit more about our P3 program is our Director of Curriculum and Innovation, Beth Shutters. I'm going to turn it over to Beth to share a little bit about P3.
All right, thanks, Amanda. I'm going to get up my screen. All right, so yeah, as Amanda said, my title is Director of Curriculum and Innovation, but one of the things that I work on, spend a lot of my time working on, is our P3 program, our personal passion project. As she said, it is a program that our middle schoolers, all of our middle schoolers do, and it is in its 4th year, and it's been evolved a little bit every year, and I'm really excited about what we're doing this year with students. So I wanted to just talk for a minute about why we do P3. You know, Amanda mentioned design thinking, and I'll get into that in a minute. We try to use design thinking, you know, in many ways throughout the school. Specifically in P3, here's what, and we tell our students this as well. This is why we do P3. It helps them determine what they're passionate about. At the middle school age, students are really, you know, figuring out what their own interests and strengths are. And so doing this project, which lasts the whole year, is good for them to think about what they're interested in and to pursue it for the whole year, which can be tough. So even when they get tired of it or they decide it's not their passion anymore, we really encourage them to stick with their topic that they chose at the start of the year, even when it gets hard, which is a really valuable skill for them to have. We pair each project up with a mentor. So our mentors can be other parents from throughout the school, not just middle school parents, but any. We work with a lot of our alum who come back to mentor students. Sometimes it's friends of faculty member or friends of parents. We work really hard to find a mentor that makes sense for each project. This year, all of our mentoring is virtual. So students are just mostly emailing their mentors. So that's an important skill that they learn, those communication skills. Learning how to write a professional-ish email as a middle schooler is another great skill for them that they gain through this program. And lastly, the project management piece that they learn how to organize and complete a large project from start to finish. So as we mentioned, they work on this same project the whole school year. Our P3 class meets once a week, just one class period a week. This year it's on Fridays, but that could change. And so they work on it weekly. And then there's an entire week dedicated to P3 in March. So we're coming up on it soon. We call it Experience Week. This year it's the week before our spring break. And there are no regular middle school classes. Students just work on their P3 work the whole time. And then it kind of culminates in an expo at the end of that week. So we use the design thinking process. I'll go into a little bit about what that means and the steps that we go through. And we use design thinking, as I mentioned, throughout the school. This really helps all of our students and our faculty to develop those 4 C's skills: the communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. We strive to do that kind of thing throughout our classes, but P3 is really where the content is chosen by the students. The skills that we're trying to teach them are the same for each throughout the middle school, but the content is really chosen by the student for P3. So it's pretty neat. So the design thinking process, if you're not familiar with design thinking, you can Google it and you'll get hundreds of different images of different ways of representing the process. But what we have students do is choose a problem, think of solutions for it, get feedback, and then create a prototype for one of those solutions. More specifically, I'll go through what we did this year, and it changes a little bit each year. We start by asking the students, what do you wish was better? And this year we asked, what do you wish was better in your home, your school, your community, and in your world? And then we asked them to change that into a how might we question. So here are some examples of how might we questions from this year. How might we help people connect while learning remotely? How might we go outside more? You can see there's lots of things. They chose projects this year that are relevant to what we're going through right now. Some more, there's one who's how might we, I don't have it on here, but how might we help make restaurants more COVID safe? So there are a lot of, from very specific problems to more broad that affect lots of people in the world. And what we ask our students to do then is to fall in love with that problem, which is hard to do. We, as human nature is sort of to think of a solution right away and want to implement that and see what happens. But we ask our students to slow down, take a step back, and really understand the problem from multiple angles by interviewing people who experience it, if possible, and researching. And then we have them create an infographic. So here's an example of one from this year. They learn about presenting statistics and facts in a visual way so that they can communicate what they've learned about the problem before they even implement any sort of solution. And after they've really thoroughly understood the problem, and actually we're in March now, and this is kind of where most students are. That's how long we really spend having them think about the problem before they think of solutions. And then we go into the ideation phase, which is like that brainstorming where students can think of many different ideas. We encourage them to have an open mind and think of ideas beyond what they might have originally thought of as a solution. And then they pick one of those ideas and storyboard it out to communicate what their idea is. We have them get feedback from a few people on that idea and iterate. So change some things about it and learn how to explain their project idea well with an elevator pitch. And then they will create a prototype, which could be as simple as just a model. Here's one from last year that was a model of a solar panel. Or it could be, kind of like a SketchUp of an app that they would like to create to solve a problem. There's all kinds of ways to do a prototype. So that's like a really quick version of the process they go through that takes the entire school year. That 1 week dedicated to P3 that's coming up here, Experience Week, wherever students are in this process of, the prototype and the iteration and all that, wherever they are, when we start Experience Week is where they dive in during that week. So students work through all of this at their own pace, really. And so that week in March, Experience Week, is unique because we have a lot of special things happening at school. We might bring in guest speakers, we might have workshops. We have a whole week planned for them. So students are, for the most part, here at school doing project work and maybe participating in some other special things. But they also have the opportunity, kind of like with our high school's January short term, they have the opportunity to set up things that are off campus. So for example, if there is a museum or a workshop somewhere outside of school that they want to go to, they can work with parents and sometimes teachers to arrange a trip to that place. If they have a workplace or an office they want to visit to shadow someone for a day, this is a great week for them to do that. Anything that's relevant to their P3 work, we encourage them to set these things up, and we work with them several weeks in advance to get that going. We've even had students travel before to places that are relevant to their P3 work. And then at the end of that week, they present their work in an expo. Our expos in the past have been in person, but of course this year we're working on transitioning it to a virtual event. Still working on figuring out exactly what that will look like. But students show just kind of wherever they are in the process. So whether they have just their infographic communicating the problem, or they've gone all the way to creating a prototype and they're getting feedback on it, that's what they show at the expo. It's different than a traditional project because students work at their own pace and they're never quite finished because it's a passion project that they're supposed to be working through. So if you have more questions about Experience Week, we can send, these slides out and you can email me. And I think we've got a couple students here. I'll stop my screen share who can tell you more specifically about their projects too.
Yes, thank you, Beth. That was great. I'll be excited to see and learn more about some of the projects this year. Yes, so speaking of our students, we have two of our sixth graders here who have been working hard on their P3 projects, Macy and Orly, and I'd like to give them each a chance to share about their current P3 projects and hear maybe about what they're planning for the expo in March. Orly, if you'd like to go first.
Hello, I'm Orly, as you know. I'm in sixth grade, and this is my first year at Roycemore. So I've never really done anything like P3 before. So it was a really unique experience being able to choose your own project and be able to research it, and generally the world would be your oyster. So I'm generally interested in mental health, specifically in COVID, because it's quite a COVID thing. So I decided to interview all of the 5th and 6th graders. So I put out a Google form and people answered that, which could help me collect data with like, oh, has people's mental health declined? Are they worried about others, including their friends, family, and so yeah. And so my next step, I was thinking of maybe designing an app to help people kind of remind people to improve their mental health. And it's not just over COVID, but just generally over anything, but mainly over COVID. So yeah.
Well, great. Thank you, Orly. Thanks for sharing, and good luck as you move forward to the next steps of your project. Next is Macy. Macy, I want to give you a chance to share as well.
We're gonna see if this works.
There we go.
It's working and we're in the same room. So Macy,
Okay.
try.
So this year my P3 project is focusing on the need to adopt an animal rather buying one, and also raising money for the animal shelter we adopted my puppy from.
Awesome, that's great. And as we know, there's a lot of animals that need to be adopted. Thank you so much for sharing. Good luck.
Anybody hear that? Yay or nay?
Yes.
Okay, people put their thumbs up, so that means they heard.
Yes, thank you, Macy. All right, so moving right along, we have some parents with us today who are important members of our community. We truly feel that it's a partnership. So when a child is enrolled at Roycemore, the relationship that we have with their families, with their parents is equally as important as the work that we do here at school. So with us today are Jolie Rosenkrantz, Orly's mom, Bessie Mbaduga, who is the parent of Keys in our 8th grade, and Karina in our 3rd grade, and Angela Murphy, who is mom of Alex in our 9th grade. So I want to give them each an opportunity to share a little bit about their experience at Roycemore. They've all come in at different times. They all have children in different divisions of the school, and giving them a chance to share a little bit. So Jolie, if you'd like to go first. Jolie is, as Orly said, she's a new student this year. So Orly joined us in this fall, and Jolie actually can share a little bit about that process of transitioning to Roycemore and also coming from a public program.
Mm-hmm. So hi everybody, thanks Amanda. Yes, I'm Orly's mom, and Orly is not only a first year, Orly's a 2nd day in-person student. So today marks, I think we're about, are we 36 hours in yet? I don't know, of Orly actually being live. So Orly's actually been remote this whole time. So needless to say, it's been a really fun day. It's been a really fun 2 days at our house. We're really excited to have Orly back in person. But I'd also like to speak about, you know, what it's been like this whole year leading up to this, and moving back to my first phone call to Amanda, which didn't really take place until May of last year, frankly. This was not our plan. We were here in Evanston in the public schools. And for us, after realizing, I think in May of last year, it really took that long. We had some concerns about what was going to happen, frankly, for Orly's 6th grade year. Orly's finishing up 5th grade. And finding exactly how Roycemore was able to flip on a dime. That phone call in May, I think I got right away just a listing of their online curriculum and was blown away. And of course, very supportive of the public schools in general. I'm proud of the public schools. My dad is a retired administrator. My mom is a retired teacher. My sister's a current teacher. And I'm also in higher education myself. So for the fact that I'm sitting here in May of 2021 talking to you at my child's private school is not where I ever thought I would be, but I couldn't be happier that this is what happened, and I wouldn't have known it unfortunately, if there hadn't been a big upheaval in the world. Here we are today, and I couldn't be more thrilled with the community and the curriculum and the ability for the teachers to know Orly for Orly. It is unbelievable. And as I said before, having been here up until this point in a remote fashion, I can't even fathom where we're going to be tomorrow, let alone how we got here, you know, where we were in their conference last week, which was pretty phenomenal. So I could go on, but I won't. So I'll pass it over to Bessie, who's been a wonderful ambassador as a parent to let a new family come in. So thank you to Bessie. I can't thank you enough, and I email you all the time with questions. So.
Thank you, Jolie. And I'll turn it to Bessie.
Hi there. Thanks, Jolie. Appreciate the kind words. I was in your shoes. I guess that was last year. This is our second year at Roycemore. So I totally understand that sense of being in a brand new place. For us, we moved from North Carolina. And as Amanda mentioned, we have a child in middle and one in lower school. And both of our students were just so embraced by this community. And I think that a lot of what I'm hearing just resonates with our experience as well. And hearing the students talk about how open Roycemore is to them coming up with ideas like a music club. I think it's such a wonderful way to connect students in China with students here. My third grader is all excited to do a performance for the March concert. And that's something that I don't think she would have thought to do on her own. So just having that encouragement, having a teacher reach out and say, hey, maybe you should think about doing the show. And she's like, well, maybe I could. And it's just seeing the confidence that happens, that the students really do start to get a lot of confidence in their abilities. I've seen our 8th grader become more of a leader, where he's still a very laid back person, but having that sense that he is good with people and he can get his friends to sort of coalesce around an idea and work together. So watching that transition has been wonderful. And as a lot of students said, Roycemore is so open to people coming up with new ideas. In the case of the students that we're talking about, starting new clubs, and that is also the case for parents. We've had Angela, who's on this call, come up with a great idea of the fact that since we couldn't have all the sort of back to school events that we would normally have to welcome new parents, let's get goodie bags together and go to people's houses and drop them off. And so a bunch of us did exactly that. And the school was very embracive of that idea. They encouraged us, they supported us. Yes, exactly. Jolie has her mug and I have mine. Twin power. And just, being open to new things. Another group of parents wanted to start a social justice, equity, and inclusion committee in the school. Again, was like, let's do this. And so they've been partnering with us and helping us to get some different events going at school, getting conversations started. And we do have our version of the PTA, which is the Roycemore Family Association, and they help orchestrate a lot of things at school, whether it's, in the past it would be on-campus events, but this year we're doing a lot of remote events. So they might organize a movie night where the kids are watching a movie together and sort of chatting in the chat box and enjoying that moment together. So even though we can't be physically together, we still get the sense of enjoying each other's company. We've had book discussions. We've just had I really have to sort of piggyback on what Jolie said about the fact that the school really does pivot. We've had situations where it's like, okay, we want to do this event, but we can't be together. So let's each do our own pumpkins at home, and we'll have the coach come in and read a story to the kids. And it's just seeing the way that the school is very open to hearing feedback from families, where, we constantly get, not too much, but we get surveys that say, how are things going? What can we do to improve things? What any concerns you have? And they do actually act on that feedback. It's not this sort of empty void that you take the time to do a survey and nothing happens, but there's an actual collaboration that happens, and it's a true partnership. And I really appreciate that about Roycemore. And like Jolie, I can go on and on as well, but I will let Angela get a chance to say some things now.
Thank you, Bessie. Angela, I'll turn it to you.
So we were a new family as well as Bessie last year. So we started in person and ended the year remote. And I just think that my daughter went in 8th grade, which I was a little concerned about because middle school can be such a challenging time for students. And I think socially it can be hard. And it was so nice because Alex was just able to fit right in and find friends right away, whether it be in the 8th grade or the 7th grade or the 6th grade. And the thing I like about Roycemore, especially in their math and science program, is they for all of the curriculum, they meet the child where they are, but particularly with math, a lot of schools, especially the K through 8th models, are still just doing math by grade. And the nice thing about Roycemore is when you hit middle school, you might be a 5th grader, but maybe you're doing 9th grade math. So you have that ability as a student to be in that 9th grade math class instead of doing 5th grade math with the rest of your peers. And because of that, the fluidity of the classes, it also seems a lot bigger socially. So kids know each other, know the 6th graders, know the 9th graders, depending on where they may be in math or science. And so that was, I find that as a parent, a real plus of the Roycemore community for 2 reasons: that your child is doing working to the highest of their ability, but also that it opens up the doors and it's not just divided by grades so much. So I think that was really nice. And just kind of to piggyback on what Bessie and Jolie said, you know, back in March when we first started remote learning, I don't think anyone anticipated that it would go as long as it's gone. And just the way that the school continued to send out surveys, and we would say, like, I think there needs to be more class time. And then the next week they would incorporate more class time, like longer Zoom sessions and things like that, or Google Meets, whatever they were using. But just knowing that if I filled out the survey, that I knew that Adrian and Amanda and everyone was reading it and thinking about what we were saying, and kind of, we were all in it together. And it was just such a nice community. And I could go on and on too. I feel like I ramble when I talk about Roycemore.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you all 3 of you, Jolie, Bessie, and Angela. These ladies are some of the most supportive parents we have, and we really do value their input. And I thank you again for joining us today. And I think some of them may be available to stay on for the breakout rooms. So when you do head into those, you'll be seeing them in there and can ask them some more specific questions. All right, moving right along. Before we head into our breakout rooms, I just wanted to touch on some of the admissions next steps. So if you've liked what you've heard today, if your interests are piqued and you're considering applying to Roycemore, we have passed our priority admissions deadline. However, we're in our rolling admissions phase now, which what does that mean? What that means is that we are still considering applications as long as there are spaces in classes. This has been a very busy year for admissions at Roycemore. We've had a very high volume of applications, but we are still considering students for available spaces in their grade levels. And of course, you can reach out to me for specific questions. I will follow up with you after today's event to check in. Some of you may have already applied or may already be accepted or enrolled into the program, and some of you may have just reached out as of the last few days. So wherever you are in the process, I'm here to support you through that and to answer the questions that you have. Students who do apply and are considered qualified applicants, meaning everything is submitted and we feel that next steps are to move forward for a visit. We are hosting virtual shadow days and meet the teacher visits on a case-by-case basis for students who have fully applied. My email is here, so feel free to take a picture of that. Of course, I'm available on the website. My email is linked to many of the application pages under the admissions section on the website. And because we can't host many tours in the building right now because of the pandemic, we did create a virtual tour page. So I encourage you to check that out as well, especially if you've never been in the building before. I am reserving tours on an individual basis for families who have applied. So that is something that's an option, but they do happen after or before school hours. So you're still coming and essentially viewing an empty building, just again, out of the safety protocols we've put into place this year with the pandemic. But the virtual tour will also give you a step inside the building, and you'll hear from other parents, and there's some videos on that page as a reference for you as well. Our health and safety plan is linked to our website. So again, I encourage you to check that out. If you are considering applying for admission, but also concerned about finances, we do maintain a sliding scale tuition assistance program, and we do encourage you to apply for that as soon as possible if you know that you will need tuition assistance should your child attend. We must have you apply for admission alongside of your tuition assistance application, but that is available to you as well. All right, and so finally today, we will be moving into breakout rooms. So our wonderful division heads, Darcy Aksamatowski, our lower school division head, she oversees preschool through 4th grade. Adrian Floro, our wonderful middle school head, overseeing 5th through 8th grade. And then Stephanie Rivera, our amazing upper school division head who oversees 9th through 12th grade, will be in your breakout rooms. So we're assigning you to those rooms now. My colleague, Vicki Pickett, has been working behind the scenes to make sure everyone's being assigned to a breakout room. So in just a moment, you'll get an invite to head into a breakout room. And that's a place for you to ask questions in a smaller group setting with people from your specific division of the school. Some of our student volunteers will be in there as well to answer questions. I'll be available in the main session. So if you have any questions for me, you can always pop back into the main session when you feel you have a question for me or when you're ready. But again, spend some time in those breakout rooms, getting to know our division heads. They will be your main support, your main contact, should your child attend the school. So I encourage you to get to know them. They are a wealth of knowledge, all 3 of them. And we'll come back at the very end just to say a quick goodbye. But again, enjoy your breakout room session.